So, hallo zusammen und ich hoffe, man kann mich hören. Mir ist noch eingefallen, ich habe hier, glaube ich, noch eine Audioquelle vergessen. Audioaufnahme, Audioausgabe, Audioeingabe, Aufnahme. Quelle hinzufügen, Gerät. Okay, so. Jawohl, hallo zusammen und willkommen zurück zu meinem Kanal. Ich bin der Ricky und das ist Every Gamer. Entschuldigt mich heute für die Qualität, ich hoffe, das geht mit dieser eingebauten Webcam. Ich meine, das Bild ist ja klein genug. Wir werden uns heute gemeinsam das Xbox Live Showcase anschauen. Das hat schon begonnen, aber soweit ich weiß und wie ihr bestimmt auch wisst, zeigen sie ja meistens am Anfang nicht so die wichtigsten Sachen. Ich konnte leider nicht von vornherein einsteigen, aber wir schauen einfach zusammen rein und ja, schreibt mir einfach, wenn ihr was dazu sagen wollt und wir werden gemeinsam sehen, was da so abgeht. So, jetzt bin ich falsch, da drüben. Die labern auch viel.
It is awesome. I personally love indie games, and I think we've seen indie games have this not even resurgence, but kind of like just being brought more into the public eye in the last decade or so, and it makes it a little bit hard for some people to kind of qualify what is indeed an indie game. So I want to ask you, Chris, what are indie games all about in your mind?
Well, that's actually one thing we do in the program is we don't try and define it. In fact, I used to have a buster on the outside of my office. It said indie with a little buster through it because I was like, you know what, like I'm old, and I spent like the 90s as a punk rocker arguing about what was punk and what wasn't punk. And like, we don't need to do that. You know what I mean? To me, an independent game is really all about creative control. If a developer has creative control, you know, they have that independence. But, you know, we have folks in the program who are single individuals, you know, one woman, one man making a game. We have studios in the program that are hundreds of people making a game. So we don't stress about it. Like, our focus is just on helping people get their games onto Xbox, helping get them great, and then making sure that players get to see them and have a good time.
Cool.
That is incredible. Now, Chris, I'm sure there are so many amazing moments that you were able to experience throughout your 7 years with the program. But if you could pick one, what would be your proudest accomplishment?
Was ich dazu sagen kann,
ich habe ja selber noch keine Xbox, like really gets both me and the whole team on ID going is really like when we're able to help a developer, like a lot of times, especially a first game, like ship that first game, and that like always feels great. Or when we're able to work with developers from like all over the world. Like, we work with developers in more than 100 countries on every single continent except Antarctica is really cool. So it's hard to pick a proud moment, but maybe my favorite moment was I think it was E3, I can't remember which year, and it was right when we unveiled like the full Cuphead trailer, and I had seen the trailer, I knew how good it was, and I'm on stage, I got the privilege of introducing the Moldenhauers, and the lights go on the Moldenhauers and they go off me, and then the Studio MDHR logo comes up on what at the time was the largest 4K screen in existence. And I knew everybody's socks were about to get blown off. And just standing there in the dark on the stage, looking up at the Studio MDHR logo was like, I still get goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now talking about it. It was like, it was such a cool moment. It was such a cool moment for them and such a cool moment for everybody who likes to be, you know, just excited by games. So to me, that's like, it's one of my favorite moments in my career.
I remember that moment. I remember when Cuphead was first unveiled at E3 and everyone was like, what is this? And it delivered. I mean, Cuphead's a fantastic game. So what excites you right now? Like, what's the most exciting thing about the indie game scene in 2021, in your opinion?
Just the variety. I mean, we just saw on that trailer and all through today, we're just going to see so much variety of games. And you know, it used to be that I think when people heard the word indie game, there was this thought of like, okay, this is side-scrolling pixel art. And there's still a lot of great side-scrolling pixel art games, but there's everything from first-person shooters to, you know, every genre under the sun, new genres nobody's ever thought of before. And to me, what's so exciting is these games come from everywhere, right? I think there's a game, I don't want to give it away, maybe it's a reveal, but there's a game we're going to see in a little bit from 2 devs in the Philippines. It's really, really neat. Despelote, which was just in the trailer. An airport for aliens run by dogs where you like go around and interact with like clip art dogs that are rotating. Like those are all super cool. And then you have games that just come out of nowhere, not really out of nowhere, but like Shotgun Farmers, which is a game that launched on Xbox and was from one person and dominated the sales charts on Xbox for like a couple weeks. It was like the #1 game on Xbox. And that is just so cool that the world today like enables that kind of thing to happen. So that's what I love. I just love the variety.
Mm-hmm. I'm always amazed learning at some of the sizes of some of these development companies. Does it blow your mind what smaller indie teams are able to create and produce in comparison to AAA companies?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen like such great, I think we just call it like democratization of development with the rise of engines like Unreal and Unity and GameMaker. It really has now enabled the focus, games is still incredibly amount of hard work to make, but the focus is on like how good my idea is, how good my story is. Like game developers are no longer gated by the technology as much as they were 10 and 15 years ago. So that's awesome to see. And it's also been awesome to see how things like Game Pass have enabled so many players to experience so many games. It's just really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is super cool. And I, for one, love being able to jump on Game Pass and try something completely new because it's worked into that program. And we will definitely see games today in the ID at Xbox program that are available in Game Pass, but not all of them that we'll show today are, I don't think. Isn't that correct, Chris? It's some of them.
That's right. Yeah, it's a variety. Games like, I'm trying to think, like off the top of my head, Genesis Noir shipped recently. That was a Game Pass game, but Shotgun Farmers, not a Game Pass game. And there's a huge amount of variety that's in Game Pass, which is fantastic. And there's a huge amount of variety of games that are, not in Game Pass. So it's just great. Like, there's just a tons to play, and that makes us feel really good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Where do you think that indie games are headed next? So, say in the next decade or two.
That is a great question, and the answer I'm going to give is that I have no idea, but I mean that in the best possible way. If you had asked me when we started ID if somebody was going to come up with a game where you shoot shotguns and when you miss the shot, a new shotgun grows out of the ground, I never would have guessed that. If you had asked me, is somebody going to make like a game that's hand animated 1930s animation, I never would have guessed that. And so what I love about indie games is they're always surprising us. They're always giving us something new. And so when I say I have no idea what we're going to see in 10 years, like that's what excites me. Like if I knew what was going to happen, I might not be as excited. So yeah, I think in the best possible way, I have no idea.
That's really interesting you say that. I am kind of curious with these next generation consoles that have just released very recently. How has that transition been? Has it been kind of difficult or?
No, not really. We've been seeding Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S's to our developers for a while, and we've been really excited to see how many independent developers are supporting features like Smart Delivery, where you might have an Xbox One today and you buy the game, and then when you get your Xbox Series S or your Xbox Series X, you just download the updated version of it at no additional cost. And independent developers are always surprising us. And so next-gen features, whether it's ray tracing or smart delivery, folks are taking advantage of them in really interesting ways. And so it's been exciting. It's been exciting to see the games, but one thing that we're proud of is that the transition itself for developers has been
the guys are writing there
boring. And I mean that, again, in the best possible way. That they get this new system and they can start taking advantage of the power of it, but they don't have to get a PhD to figure out how to use it. And so, that is kind of always our goal, to make it as easy as possible to ship so that the focus for developers can be on their game, on taking advantage of the hardware, not like fighting against the hardware and just being excited they got something to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that context in particular, boring is fantastic for the indie devs, I'm sure. Right. So speaking of indie devs, what advice would you give to any dev teams out there who might be watching who would want to apply to ID at Xbox?
Yeah, just reach out. It's xbox.com/ID. You can see from today and from the 2,000 games that have come through the program in the last 7 years. We love variety. We're eager to support like all developers, especially if you're a new developer. This is your first game. Maybe you're not from the United States, or you're from a different territory. Like, please apply. We're really eager to help you get your games on the platform. There's a huge audience of players who want to play your games. I don't want to be crass, but independent developers on Xbox have earned more than $2 billion, like way over $2 billion in the last 7 years from shipping their games. And that just feels really good, because it means that we have a sustainable marketplace where developers can have success and keep making their games. And so I guess that would be my message. There is a lot of success on Xbox, whether it's getting millions and millions of people to play your game through Game Pass, just shipping your game and having lots of people play it and enjoy it. Please come aboard.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Chris, I want to thank you for taking the time to spend and chat with us. But before we do say goodbye, can you let everyone at home know how to apply to the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Devs just need to go to xbox.com/ID, and you can fill out an application there. I think maybe it takes like 5 or 6 minutes to apply, and that's the easy part. The hard part is making the game, but the part of building a relationship with Microsoft and everything like that, we try to make that as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so very much for joining us today. This has been so enlightening to kind of take a peek behind the curtain at how all of this works. It has been so lovely having you, Chris. If people want to find you online, is there a place that they can follow you personally, or should they just follow ID at Xbox?
Goodbye.
They can follow at ID_Xbox, or I'm at IOCat on Twitter.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for popping by today, and hopefully we'll see you here on Twitch Gaming again soon.
Yes. Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Oh, that was so awesome.
Yeah,
and it seems almost simple for developers to apply. I didn't know that it was almost that easy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, go to a website and it takes about 5 or 6 minutes. And I've known about the ID at Xbox program for years and how it helps indie devs get their games out there and get their games finished, and what an awesome program it is. But yeah, I also didn't know how easy it was for devs to apply. So for anyone watching this who has a game mulling around up here, even if it's just in concept phase, xbox.com/ID is what Chris told us, and fill it out there and see if you can help, if Xbox can help bring your game to reality and, bring it to Xbox consoles.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like what Chris was saying, sometimes starting is the hardest part, but to even put your foot in the door by applying to the program, I mean, oh my gosh. I know there's some developers in the chat watching. Go ahead and get started. I see you guys in there. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love, like I said, I've been following this program for a while. When you go to a convention like an E3 and you go to kind of Microsoft's convention floor booth, like their section of it, there's always an ID at Xbox section. And whereas a lot of people go in and kind of hunt for the big AAAs, I'm usually scanning the floor for the ID at Xbox section, because that's where I'm going to go and find the games that, like you said, Brianna, if you're in it for art style, if you're looking for like the game that brings out all the feels that you need to have a tissue box handy for, if you're looking for those fantastic scores and compositions, a lot of times that's where I'm like, ooh, I will find something really unique that maybe I haven't checked out here, which is it's just fantastic. And, as we mentioned, Cuphead was an ID at Xbox game. There's so many, I believe Oxenfree might have been originally as well. Cool. So many great games. And I know people in chat are teasing and hoping for games that we will talk about a little bit later in the show as well. So don't worry, we've got lots of stuff coming.
We do. We have so much coming. But up next, everyone, streamer Kate Stark will sit down with the team behind the new game Moonglow Bay, which takes place along the peaceful eastern Canadian coastline during the 1980s. In Moonglow Bay, you play as an old rookie angler struggling to keep your business afloat while coming to terms with the death of your lifelong partner. But after exploring the world a little bit, you come to learn
the Nintendo Directs are so much better made. They're not just
Let's take a look at the trailer.
Hours and hours before the show the games. Yeah, finally, come on. Make it big, full screen for you guys. And this looks ugly. It's a mix of Minecraft and I don't know.
Well, Guppy, You did it. Your first catch. 40 years, and you still surprise me. I know this place seems strange. A fishing town afraid to fish. But that's why our new venture might just stay afloat. Because all those stories about the mystical monsters of Moonglow are exactly that. Stories. This bay is full of amazing new creatures waiting to be discovered.
Oh.
So we'll find them and share them with the world.
I mean, the style is quite okay, but
as long as this book is by your side, so am I.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Do you like that style, guys? I don't really do.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, Zach and Lou. Welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about Moonglow Bay?
Of course, go ahead, Zach.
Sure. So Moonglow is like was said in East a fishing RPG slice of life set in the eastern coast of 1980s Canada, though fictional.
Yeah.
And
it's in a town that people are afraid to fish because of mysterious things.
Yeah, weird sea creatures. Well, it starts out like a kind of scenario where the game is very regular and you're like, oh, it's just normal fish. It gets weirder and weirder, and you're like, okay, what's actually going on here? People have these myths, and there's some truth to these myths, and so it's a little spooky.
And you get to fish, and you get to cook and sell and make friends around the town. And build the town out.
So like while you're trying to explore the world, figure out what happened to your long lost partner, the town itself is going through their own struggles with their potential closing and inability to grow and survive. So it's kind of like a in tandem
everyone
growth,
helping each other.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Now, without spoiling too much, what can you tell us about the town and what went into creating life in Moonglow Bay?
I'm so
bored. So the town is having its centennial, so it's gonna be 100 years old, and it's completely falling apart. It has no money. The town hall is closing, and you kind of like gotta help.
Well, you moved into the town 3 years prior with your partner, thinking like, okay, we're gonna retire here and we're gonna just open up a little fishing shack. But then they go on their adventure. Your partner goes on their adventure to start up the shop, and they never come back. So now you're kind of like left alone. You're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And everyone else is also closing down. So you're like, I need to like, I want this to survive. And your daughter comes back and it's like, kind of like picks you up and says, let's do this. Let's figure this out.
Let's fix this town up.
And
there was so much, like, I did so much research on my side, like doing concept art and stuff about Eastern Canada in the 80s, like going to like little groups and checking like people's memories and the photos that they took of the east coast of Canada.
And also in the fashion, because even though it was set in the 80s, the fashion hadn't caught up for like 20 years.
Yeah, no, it definitely had not. Well, I mean, what inspired the story on Moonglow Bay then? Because it seems that you did a lot of research into it, so you must like, and very specifically Eastern Canada as well. So what inspired that?
Yeah, come on, go back.
So it's just like, it's one of those things I was like, well, what if like this has to be feasible as a whole scope game? And I found
with loads of other mini games that you can also play.
Like Legend of the River King was almost 10 years ago, almost 13 years ago since it came out, and I was like, nah, this has to, like, we need to kind of like see what's feasible here. So
like the story is like Zach and I met living in Quebec. And like my family has history with fishing. Zach has.
As a kid, I helped run a little fishing shop selling fish by the lakeside, and it was kind of like, you know, there's this connection. We're like, this is actually really chill. We wanted to make a game that was very relaxing, and this is the perfect kind of thing because fishing is pretty chill. And we just felt like it was the perfect environment to start off, and then we just from there started researching the East Coast because we want to go into the ocean and get this vast space.
And also it was a little bit of wanderlust of mine because my dream has always been like, I'm gonna go live in Nova Scotia. It seems like the most beautiful place, most calming place. So it kind of has that part as well.
Yeah, like that. That starry-eyed feel of like, oh, new town, beautiful, and so that's why like one of the things in the game is to kind of build this town up and make it prettier over time.
So there is also a little bit of mystery around the story and around the town. Are you able to tell us a little bit about that?
Only done by 2 people?
Sure, yeah, like a little hint, which is basically like there's a lore that exists in the world itself. It's not like the fish aren't typical. They start off typical, but as you get deeper, you get into different biomes. So like regular water is what you're seeing right now, but then like it spreads into like these sulfur zones, these like heavy glacier zones, and you're like, this doesn't exist in the oceans? How does this happen? And so it's kind of like the mystery of it.
That's also like part of the thing that is making people so afraid. Like people go fishing and they don't come back,
and they just it's completely
so it's everything is kind of fueled by myths in that town because nobody has the courage to actually go fish and find out if the myths are true or not. So you kind of like everyone just gossips to each other. Yeah.
So you can go talk around. You're going to fill up a journal to see what these myths that people have accumulated are, and then you can go and like see what truth there is to this, and something like there's always gonna be like, okay, go to this location, you're gonna find this weird fish that's gonna like nibble at your ankles. You're like, wait, what? And so so it's like stuff like that for the player to find out.
So more specifically on that, how do the game mechanics work? What can players expect when playing Moonglow Bay for the first time?
This game looks so boring.
So it's a core loop of going out fishing and then coming back and cooking whatever you've caught in your home, and then you sell it at your vending machine.
It's a less intense mechanic, the selling itself.
Yeah.
The cooking is like a bunch of fun mini games.
Like Cooking Mama style kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the fishing is like you have several different kinds of fishing. You can rod fishing is the one that goes the most complex. It has like different levels of
difficulty based on the fish
and equipment. And then there is trap fishing, there is
ice fishing, net fishing,
and line fishing, which is like a little bit more musical. So like you choose the style that you wanna fish with and tricks to capture this 100+
and there's like certain fish that can only be caught with certain tools, so you're gonna have to kind of go around and figure out what these combinations are. And also in your boat you can expand with the money you've accumulated. You can expand the size of your boat, the tooling within it, to get a little bed and a kitchen in the boat itself,
so you can go fishing for days.
So you can go fishing out at sea for days rather than always having to come back to town.
Yeah,
I love the sound of it. Now I know a question that a lot of our audience is going to be wondering and asking, and I am myself. Can you pet the dog? Because I noticed there's a dog.
Yes.
Can you pet the dog?
That's the most important.
You can pet the dog. The dog is gonna follow you.
Follows you around.
It's your little companion.
His name is Waffles.
You can pet the dog.
Waffles.
Yes.
I'm in love with this game already. This is my new comfort game for sure.
This game looks
Lou, you were
so boring,
mentioning the art style. What inspired and influenced the art style for this
really
game?
Sympathetic, actually.
So Zach and I, like ever since we met, we did a bunch of like little mock-ups and stuff, trying to figure out like what game do we want to make. And it started from the principle that Zach does voxel art, and also like I wanted to bring something really relaxing. So one of the things that it doesn't look like it because it's all squared and it's like has a specific palette and stuff. But one thing that inspires me a lot on their direction is like Ponyo from Studio Ghibli, the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like as well as Animal Crossing, like in the old Harvest Moons from the GBA. So all those things that are very relaxing games, that kind of slice of life, and
all the colors are much softer.
Yeah,
it's all intentionally like catered so you don't feel intimidated by anything, even if like our myths are a little bit spooky kind of thing. So
we kind of wanted the player to just like get home from work, in this case like finish work, and then like maybe open the game and just relax and distress from life.
I'm seeing a lot of people in chat mention that exact thing, so I think you're on the right track. What sort of playtime can people expect? Is it single player? Is it multiplayer? What do we think?
It's single player and
couch co-op. It can be drop in, drop out. Like it's more of a style of like assist. So if you're having difficulty catching a fish, your friend can just like, or your daughter or anyone can just grab the controller and say, I'm gonna help you catch this fish.
And you can grab onto your player one and pull with them to pull the fish in.
So you go alongside the story and stuff, and the playtime.
We're estimating roughly around 10 to 12 hours. Depends if you want to be a completionist and try to get all the 100+ fish in the game.
And all the side quests and stuff, or if you just want to follow
or if you just want to gun through the story.
Yeah.
So just depending on how players want to play. I love that.
Yeah, so the range can be pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what are you most excited, as the developers, what are you most excited for players to experience when playing this for the first time?
For me, I'm excited to see how people react to the fish that they pull up, because we get really weird with their designs. And oh god,
I really love, like, for me, the whole friendship system, like how you can become best friends with people in town and they can tell you like their life stories, or you can help them with their little struggles and stuff like that. That is the kind of things that I love in games. So I'm looking forward to people seeing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Now tell us really quickly about scripting an indie game, and how is it challenging with that aspect of game design?
It's chaotic. It's one of those things that initially you're gonna have a set idea where you're like, okay, you have this goal,
and it's gonna be so big.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have this set idea that's massive. The scope is always gonna be huge, and then you kind of, as you're building out, you kind of build the first section, and then you're like, okay, how long is this gonna be? And then you play through, and you're like, all right, yeah, that.
And can we keep pulling out this amount of like story and work and bring it through the entire game?
So, like, we've been making this game for over 2-3 years, and a lot of iteration has gone through, and we're just like, okay, we have to keep cutting.
And it's interesting because we also we're still developing the game, and like as we develop it, we play it, and the storyline actually doesn't fit very well, so maybe we're gonna have to change it, and it goes a lot of work kind of goes down.
But the big thing is that we've always kept like the main beats of the game, and so long as you can tie between all of those beats, then the length between it is not what matters so much in terms of how long that is. If you can tie them cleanly, then I think the players will always be happy with it because they're going to feel satisfied in the storytelling.
Yeah.
Right, and you were mentioning through storytelling a little bit earlier that there is a good amount of lore in the game, and I'm understanding that the lore is definitely playing a bigger role than I may have thought.
I want to see the next game.
Can you tell us a little bit about the lore?
The lore is, I think
it's hard without spoiling much.
Without spoiling too much, but like one of it is like the reason why some of the people in town are afraid is because the fishermen who die at sea, their spirits are taken within the waters, within the ocean, and that's what manifests like these weird fish and stuff. It's taken like from people's thoughts. And so it's
like their weird thoughts and their weird imagination kind of brings up things we see.
Interesting things.
So and that's just a tinge. I want to see more, but I also don't want to.
Yeah.
No, not spoiling is very, very good. We'll steer off of that just to get away from spoilers for a little bit. But how did your team approach replayability?
Just more games.
Yeah, so that was a little hard on the
story. The story part. It's mostly like we're trying to make different challenges in the fishing itself, even though it's it's a relaxing game, but we still wanted to give different levels to the types of fishing.
Yeah, and it's one of the big things is that adding value to that replayability, and all the way we've done it is tying to that story. Because the lore is so interesting to player base. Every bit of thing that work you're doing, every added work you're doing goes towards that story, and you've got a lot of collecting. So if you want to,
that's one of the reasons why we added so many fish, because we want to people to always have a surprise when they're playing the game. There's always something new, and different zones have different new stuff for you to.
So you don't have to 100% all the fish in the game to complete the game, but you can keep going after that and learning more of the stories.
As someone who likes to replay comfort games like this, and I think I would classify this as a bit of a comfort game, I'm very, very happy to know that there is that option. Before we say goodbye, because this has been lovely speaking to both of you, how can people follow you for updates on Moonglow Bay?
So we have the Moonglow Bay Twitter account, an Instagram account, a Facebook page. It's all at Moonglow Bay. And we also, the studio itself is at Bunny Hug Games. On Twitter. And also, there is our publisher that is also going to be giving a bunch of updates, which is at CodeSync, like
coat and a sink.
Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so that's where we can find.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I know I'm excited to be taking these updates, and I'm going to be wish listing that as soon as I get off of here. Thank you so much for your time, and let's send it back to Story Mode Bay and Trisha Hirschberger.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye. See ya.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Zach and Lou. What a fun look at Moonglow Bay. I mean, as soon as we got that little nugget of lore where people who die in the ocean, people who die at sea, their spirits and thoughts or whatnot kind of come to be in the fish, I was like, oh man, this went from peaceful fishing sim where I want to like romance different people in town to something entirely different.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I love how Kate kind of called it a comfort game because it almost is a comfort game with, not the death part maybe. I don't know how comforting that is. But it looks so adorable. And again, the art style for me is what really drew me in. It's almost like that pixelated type of look. You don't really see that too commonly in games now. And I love that, they brought that back. And yeah, I'm putting it on my wish list. I need that.
Boring.
Yeah, I saw people in chat saying it's kind of like Minecraft-y looking, but with upgraded graphics. At least that's what people were reminded of. And everyone was getting excited when they saw there was crafting in it too. So we learned different types of fishing, cooking mini games, sell everything in a vending machine, meeting different people in town, and just for Zach and Lou, like to be indie devs who kind of created this world. I'm sure it's so exciting to invite people into the world and see what they do. Just like hands off, we made the playground. Now the ball is in your court, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for them. All right, folks, we have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We have more exclusive trailers coming up. I see everyone in chat that's like, trailers. We'll get there. We have more exclusive trailers coming up, and coming up, interviews with the devs from Soup Pot, Nobody Saves the World, Among Us, and more. See you soon.
Is this only for indies or what? In 3 minutes they will be back, okay? We must have a toilet pause. Check the panel below. It's really Summer on Pets. Stormeron. Really? It goes on for 4 hours. I thought that I would have something to comment on, but so far, so boring. Man. He's driving me because how long is this? 1 minute. No. Dr. 2, you mean? Nose. Cool music, at least.
back, everybody, to the ID at Xbox Showcase right here on Twitch Gaming. My name's Trisha Hirschberger, and I am joined by the fantastic Story Mode Bay today to tell you about all things going on the indie scene from Xbox.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like we were saying earlier on in the show, we have such an incredible lineup for all of you. Coming up soon, Blind Gamer Steve will sit down with the team behind Soup Pot, and later on we'll be talking to Victoria from Among Us. I know everyone in the chat is waiting for that interview about the new map that will be dropping in the game on March 31st. But first, we have more exciting game trailer reveals for you. From drifting across gorgeous rally racing landscapes to surviving the cold and desolate wilderness, our next announcements are coming to the Xbox platform soon. Let's take a look.
Alright. Isn't there something similar? Art of Racing or something? Same game from the same guys, probably another style of Art of Drift, or how was it called? Kinda nice. I like that. Let's make it full screen again. Yeah, Art of Rally versus not so bad. Craftopia. What is this? Come on, this became trendy, this thingy from the Wild Lyra. Poor cows. No, totally looks like the Breath of the Wild style. The music also goes in the same direction, but the animations are not half as good. Surrounding looks a bit like what's it called?
Late to the stage they come. Papers to blaze the punk. At least on the beats we run. High rise with an equal jump. On the bottom below I fall. No love in the doja falls. Utilized by golden tool. No repentance is overdue. You don't see me now. You don't see me now. You don't see me. You don't see me now.
Those things look so bad. Argos console edition. I don't know. It's a hyped game, but I don't. This looks more really cooler. interesting. What is this? It's a bit like in the Secret Neighbor style or something like this.
Meet the creepy AI-driven Mr. Peterson. This character has one mission, keeping you from discovering his secrets. Hello, and welcome to Hello Neighbor 2. In this game, you'll be playing as a local journalist named Quentin, who is suspicious of his creepy neighbor, Mr. Peterson. For those new to the Hello Neighbor franchise, this is Raven Brooks, the sort of town where everyone keeps to themselves and goes about their lives. Normally, you would too, except a bunch of people have gone missing. And there's just something strange about your neighbor, Mr. Peterson. Everyone is afraid of him. There have been rumors of children going to his house and never being heard from again. Some people say he likes to lock people up in his basement. But no one has any proof. So people just try to avoid Mr. Peterson, his odd house, and ignore the strange sounds coming from his basement at night. You have a feeling that Mr. Peterson is behind all of the neighborhood disappearances, but no one believes in your ideas and theories. And while you normally wouldn't break into someone's house, you're the only one who believes something is wrong and has the guts to uncover the truth. When you break into Mr. Peterson's house, you'll be going against an AI that is constantly evolving. Our goal for Hello Neighbor 2 is to provide unique player experiences. This is an experience that is driven by the community. Mr. Peterson's behavior is a combination of a neural network and algorithms that allow him to constantly learn from his experiences with everyone who plays our game. It begins with the collection of player activity. Mr. Peterson takes note of player behavior, whether or not most players are likely to hide in a closet, use a certain escape route, or certain objects. As time progresses and he learns, Mr. Peterson's behavior may change and surprise you. How Mr. Peterson plays in one encounter with you might be different from the next, all due to his encounters with the game's community as a whole. In this way, the community's experience with Mr. Peterson changes over time, allowing for an AI that is developed through community actions, replayability, and great stories of neighborhood shenanigans. But these new experiences go beyond Mr. Peterson. In Hello Neighbor 2, players can interact with all characters in Raven Brooks, and these characters share the same AI core, but behave differently and have their own stories for you to discover. So while you might think you're just playing the game, you're really contributing to the development and improvement of Mr. Peterson's AI. We hope this presentation of our AI and development gives you an idea of what to expect in Hello Neighbor 2. If you'd like to try an early access version of Hello Neighbor 2, you can check out some of our alphas on the Microsoft Store. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the neighborhood.
Sounds interesting, guys. That one is the first that was really interesting, I guess.
Here we go. Oh,
are you a Hello Neighbor fan, Brianna?
So I played the first one, and I was kind of petrified. Like, he was finding me from every little corner. I remember trying to hide in the rooms, and he was right there waiting for me. So the fact that they're making a second one, and he's even smarter than the first game, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
Well, that was one of the coolest things about the first Hello Neighbor is that, you know, he would adapt to your play style, and the more that you would do runs, the smarter he would get. But now not having it only be your runs, but the entire community's runs that Mr. Peterson's learning from is frankly quite terrifying to me. Although I'm super interested that they said that the other neighbors will all have stories and will be able to interact with the other neighbors as well. That's super cool. I love that in Hello Neighbor 2 we get a little bit of a motivation as to why we're invading this man's house, whereas I feel like in the first Hello Neighbor you're just like those meddling kids.
Yes.
That are bugging
Don't
our
throw
neighbor.
your ball over in my yard again. And yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Now, I was going to say I was very happy to see that Team 17 is coming out with another game. They're the same developers that made Overcooked, and even the style of the game, it looks very 80s and retro and almost futuristic in a way, which is super exciting to see. The first trailer that we saw with the car driving, again, a beautiful art style. I mean, wow. These trailers are blowing me away. It is a great time to be a gamer.
Yeah, that first trailer we saw was for a game called Art of Rally, which got high praise from the folks at Top Gear, and being a little bit of a a car enthusiast, if you will, an auto enthusiast, I was like, man, okay, loving it. That's some high praise again. For Art of Rally, Craftopia looked cool, and I saw a lot of Rust fans in chat.
Yes.
We were showing Rust Console Edition. So for our console gamer friends, you will be able to get into the world of Rust if that's your jam. I've dabbled a little bit in Rust myself, although I dabbled on a friendly server, so I know it could be a lot more intense if I was in a more survival-based server where everybody's out to get everybody else. But yeah,
Yes.
console friends, welcome.
Here we
Welcome
go.
to Rust.
Yeah, Rust looks a bit like DayZ.
But all right, so that was just some more trailers for everybody to check out. I know chat is all about those trailers. Up next on the show, we have streamer Blind Gamer Steve. We'll chat with the dev team behind the new cooking-inspired game, Soup Pot. In Soup Pot, you'll be able to make food with a wide range of locally sourced or supermarket ingredients in traditional kitchens. Discover and learn more than 100 recipes while streaming your cooking on Cookbook, the in-game social media map. Okay, so we've got like a cooking game and a streaming game. Let's just take a look at the trailer.
Let's do it.
Cooking game. Oh, really? Cookbook. No, you even need to clean up. What's happening? The food's dumping. Pot. Funny. How can this be entertaining?
Oh, awesome.
Hello.
Oh, I am really, really excited. Hello, I'm Steve, aka Blind Gamer Steve. And to introduce our guest stars is what I'm here to do. It really makes me happy to introduce to you Gwen and Trina from Chicken Club Studios. Hello, Gwen and Trina. How are you?
Chicken is like
Hello. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So, Soup Pot, tell us all about it. What is it? Tell us more. We need to know more details.
So it's really weird. So, like our game, it's very chaotic. It's like, to summarize in one sentence, it would probably be a chaotic cooking game where you don't need a recipe. There's no fail states in this game.
Yeah.
You just do what you do in the kitchen. You improvise. So the player would be quote unquote streaming their process in the kitchen. And in Asian culture, we don't really have fixed measurements for cooking. We just like we eyeball everything and then we adjust them according to taste. We just listen to the voices of our ancestors in the background. And we want to replicate this way of cooking because we think it would be fun to play. Especially we wanted to do the iconic cooking methods like using our fingers to measure how much water to put when you're cooking rice. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yes.
And you mentioned we talked before. By the way, thank you for tuning in. I know you're in the Philippines and it's way past midnight where you are. So thank you so much. But I wanted to ask because you said that it was that the Soup Pot is very Filipino and Asian inspired. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that inspiration is part of the game?
Stream today here. I thought they would be showing, I don't know, Halo gameplay and gameplay of the big games, but unluckily they didn't. So I'm a bit disappointed actually.
And Trina and I were just like, oh, you know, like we're
even
not
though the
doing
developers
anything,
like them are quite
we don't get to eat out. And then we decided to make games. So last year, we released a demo which was called Putahe ng Ina Mo Sinigang Edition. And then we looked in the streaming part of it. And people really liked it. So one of the things that we wanted is like Gia, we asked Gia to do sound design where
I will stop here, guys.
Talks about
please, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. Also check out my homepage, everygamer.com. There you can find
when we saw how much
different gaming hardware and international price comparison.
Like we feel like we're filling in a gap where it's not too serious gaming, it's not instructional, you know, like we want to recreate as much as, you know, how you would be in the kitchen,
check it out.
which is you measure by feeling, you fix things as you go, things can get messed up, and you
have a nice day,
we just want
and
to bring
see you
in
soon
that fun
for probably the next
into the
Rocket League
game
stream
and
or
make it a
Cyberpunk.
game. Like
You will see.
the fact that when you
See
look
ya,
at
guys.
games,